Today, one of the most distinctive wild oyster mushrooms that I know of. This is the veiled oyster, Pleurotus, dryinus, and levis, and they're probably my least favorite of all the wild oyster mushrooms that I have around, but they have some really notable identification traits, and they're great for practicing your ID. First is they're going to have this partial ring on the stem. Then if you compare them here with regular oysters, they're going to have a stem that's kind of in the center and these long blade-like gills that'll flap under your fingers. Like other oyster mushrooms, they also have decurrent gills that go down the stem. Here's one actually growing on a hawthorn tree. I've also picked them on a horse chestnut, as well as oaks that are more typically mentioned when we talk about the tree association. And man, they're really in there. And you'll see I'm picking these just a few months ago. But as look at these, they have a really woody stem and that really noticeable ring there. You can also see there's some larvae crawling on the top, and we will get to that and why I typically only pick these in the fall. As far as lookalikes, the only lookalikes here are edible, and there's two really notable ones in my mind. The first one is the elm oyster, Hypsozygus ulmarius, and these have a smooth cap. They typically grow in elms or box elders, and they're never going to have that ring around the stem. But also, these have a really tough stem, but they're also edible. The other one is the train wrecker. I don't see this one mentioned as often, and that's Neolentus lepidius. And these typically grow on conifer wood, and they have a shaggy stem without a veil, and they have serrated gills. But you can eat both of them either way. Here I have some reasonably young ones. You really only want to harvest these ones if they're, reasonably young, and you can see right there on the mushrooms that I picked. I thought maybe they would be decent, but this is the problem with oyster mushrooms, especially if we're picking them in warm weather, is that a lot of times they can be a little bit buggy. And I'll cut open this other one. I don't usually pick these. See, I thought, maybe this big one would be good too. So I tried cutting this guy open, and you're going to see, it just cracks right there. The structural integrity has been broken, and I include this just basically as a dose of reality, because look at the inside. It's like a horror movie. So, how do we get past that? I only pick these mushrooms. I don't even look at them unless it's cold, because the fungal gnat larvae aren't active when it's cold, at least where I am. Now, a few ideas for cooking. So these are really tough and firm. You're only going to use the cap. The mushroom dip that I talked about last week, because you're finely mincing the mushrooms, that's great, as well as making duck cell. I will sometimes use them in a blend of different fall mushrooms. There's a number of different ones there in my oyster mushroom soup with soba noodles. It's an old family recipe from one of my childhood friends that his family used to make for us. It's so good. But there you go. Basically just a short, quick little overview on one of the more distinctive oyster mushrooms that, while it won't change your life, it's still a cool mushroom to see, and you can eat it if you find some young ones. The recipes and everything I mentioned are linked at the top of the video description on my site. Thanks for watching.